Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Newcastle International Motordrome for this, the running of the most historical speedway event in Australia's dirt track sedan racing. The 1979 Winfield COCA-COLA National Speedway Grand Prix. Bill Roberts blowing a lot of smoke early in the night. That certainly doesn't look good for the Cortina. Under the yellow at the moment. But that's certainly not shaping up well for Bill Roberts to be belching that much smoke so early in proceedings. Keep an eye on Les Pascoe, Queensland's number one at the back of the pack, and Lismore's Nev Pizzuti is in there too. Well, this is a crack field and only 7 of them will go to the semi. Green lights on and away they go. John Cartwright got around the outside of Ralph Ranger very quickly, and it's Cartwright who takes up the running as they go through turns 1 and 2 for the first time. Ranger in second place at the moment. Brian Day is running third. Listen to those screaming Mazdas as they go down the back straight away. First lap of the 1979 National Speedway Grand Prix is run, and it was John Cartwright leading away from Ralph Ranger. Brian Day is in third place. Bill Roberts, who obviously not suffering any power loss with that smoke coming out, goes through underneath Day to move up to third. Day is fourth, Ian Walters is fifth. Then comes Pizzuti back in sixth place, followed by Jimmy Eccleston in seventh, and then Les Pascoe trying desperately to get up into that seventh place. Oh, the action's on thick and fast right from the word go in the National Speedway Grand Prix. Next Bison having a handful of trouble going down the main straight, but it's John Cartwright showing the way. In second place, Ralph Ranger. Here's Bill Roberts getting closer in third spot. Brian Day running fourth. Ian Walters is fifth. Then comes Nev Pizzuti, followed by Jimmy Eccleston, and Les Pascoe trying to force the passage past Eccleston in the Mazda, not having any success at the moment. It's John Cartwright in the Tirana coming down the main straightaway, leading away from Ralph Ranger. Then comes Bill Roberts, followed by Brian Day, and the interest is up front at the moment, where Bill Roberts in that third position is endeavouring to cement himself a little further up the list. John Cartwright leads as they come down main straight.
And Ralph Ranger is sitting in there behind him and doing it quite comfortably too, followed by Billy Roberts. Then we've got the driver from Parks, that's Day, followed through by Ian Walters. Then Pizzuti, the Lismore man, behind him, but all the action going on up front here. And it's 1, 2 and 3 as Cartwright in the white Tirana, doing it very comfortably. Ranger went high there, although Ranger realises to get into the semi-final he only needs to finish in the first 7. But it's Cartwright now, with Ranger being challenged by Roberts. Ranger on the outside of Roberts now, a long way back then to Pizzuti, who has got around the outside of Day, and following him is Walters. And then in car 7 is Jimmy Eccleston. But the lead car, John Cartwright, car number 2. Followed then by Ralph Ranger in the street and strip Tirana in car number 6. Bill Roberts has had a little bit of a play there with Ranger. He's got to him, knows that he has him, but Ranger, I think, is taking it a little easy here. Roberts in third place, a fair way back then to the Lismore driver Pizzuti, followed then by Day, the driver from Parks. Then comes, that's Ian Walters, and behind him is the Queensland 1, and that's Lenny Pascoe. Down the back straight away and into the turn, past the judge again this time, and Cartwright leading. Cartwright away from Ranger, followed by Roberts, still blowing great heaps of smoke there. Then Pizzuti, followed by Day, the Queenslander Pascoe around Walters from Jim Eccleston, then Gordon Smee. But Cartwright having an armchair drive out in front at the moment. He's not under any pressure at all. And Cartwright leading very, very comfortably from Ranger. Then Roberts behind him in 95. Then we find the Lismore car gaining ground there. And he's really getting up to them is Pizzuti. But it's Cartwright the leader.
With 1 lap to go, John Cartwright leads Ralph Ranger. Then Bill Roberts and Nev Pizzuti, the Lismore driver, really making a bold impression here. Les Pascoe is doing well too, back in 5th place. Then Ian Walters and Brian Day. But the checkered flag going to come out now, and the first place is going to go to Newcastle's number 2, John Cartwright. Followed then by Ralph Ranger. The next driver through was Billy Roberts, just in front of Nev Pizzuti, and an eye-catching drive there by Pizzuti. Queensland 1, Motordrome in 5th place, followed by Ian Walters 6th. The Parks driver was next, that's Brian Day in that vital 7th place, and the rest of the drivers will have to face the repecharge heats, namely Jimmy Eccleston, Gordon Smee, Steve O'Connor and Ian Sinclair from Victoria. Noticeable there that Gordon Smee did not get into the qualifying ranks, and he finished 4th in last year's 1979 Grand Prix. Oh boy, is the pressure right on from the very word go in these heats, Rod. No one can afford to be making a mistake, because only 18 drivers will have firmly cemented their position in the big final to be run by the end of proceedings this evening. John Pine looking good for a start. Robert Hayward on the outside of him there too. And as they come down the straight, they get the green flag. John Pine bounced to the lead. Oh, look at Pete Unwin trying to shovel away through there. And then the spin around happened with Robert Hayward. High up on the fence went Terry Osmond, and you can see that there's going to be no big pardon whatsoever in this racing here tonight.
Well,
now, the cars have been regridded. No one has suffered a penalty. It's a complete restart to Heat 2 of the 1979 Coca-Cola Winfield National Speedway Grand Prix. Hargraves anxious to get on with the job. Green flag drops. John Pine got away okay. Oh, copped a little bit of a buffet there from Robert Hayward, but got around all right. Grenville Anderson squeezed away past Peter Unwin, moved Terry Osmond over out of the road, and Grenville Anderson dives up into 3rd place. Look at him go. John Pine the leader from Robert Hayward in 2nd place. 3rd place being held by Grenville Anderson. Then comes Queenslander's Merv Hargraves. Pete Unwin getting back in the action there too, goes up to 5th. 6th place held now by Terry Osmond from Wollongong. And then comes Graham Lilford in the Street and Strip Tirana number 67. Look at Grenville Anderson weeding his way through the pack. Round the outside of John Pine he goes. Oh, and he's showing us the style that made him a former national champ. Anderson locking it out with Pine now. Pine on the inside. Anderson gives it a big football. Blasts around the outside of John Pine. And it's Grenville Anderson who takes up the running. Drifts a little high. John Pine gets the chance to hook in underneath, but no. Too much power has Grenville Anderson, and on he goes with the job. There'll be no slouching in these heats tonight, because believe you me, there's big prize money on the heats as well. So fellas aren't going to take it all that easy. There's prize money up for grabs, and you can see that by the way Grenville Anderson is absolutely rocketing around the Motordrome at this point of time. Grenville Anderson away from John Pine. Then comes Robert Hayward in 3rd place. A big gap then back to Merv Hargraves, and then Graham Lilford, who's working his way up as Peter Unwin and Terry Osmond drop back through the pack.
Round the turn they come, and past the judge this time, and it's Grenville Anderson, former national champion, leading away here from John Pine, followed then by Hayward in the car 36, then Merv Hargraves in the big yellow number 74, followed then by Graham Lilford in the Street and Strip car, doing very, very well, a long way back then to Peter Unwin. Then we've got Osmond, and nobody else much of a chance at this stage. But Grenville Anderson going past the pit gate now in the car number 0, leading well away here from the local lad John Pine, followed then by the car number 36, that's Hayward. In 4th spot is Merv Hargraves, not making any ground at all, but Grenville Anderson is apparently not going to muck about at all. He's about to lap some of the slower cars now as he goes down the back straight away. He's opening up a big gap as he gets to the traffic over John Pine, followed by Hayward, then coming Merv Hargraves, followed by Graham Lilford, then in the car 37 is Peter Unwin, and behind him is Osmond. There's trouble here in the corner, and it's trouble with a capital T.
The Collar-Enterprise car driven by Duncan McDonald is in bother, but a brilliant throw sideways by Merv Hargraves to avoid any collision with Duncan McDonald there. That was an excellent exhibition of driving by Hargraves, which just goes to show that these fellows can get themselves out of... Carl Jeffrey is starting to make his way up closer to the front. Oh, the action's going to be on. Restart, 5 to go. Heat 2. No. A little strung out. Stu Robertson has gone right back to the rear of the field now. Now they're beginning to pick up and make a better bunch of it. Now cars in their top positions at the moment. In the hot seats, the Wollongong driver Terry Osman, with Carl Jeffrey and Bob Christie breathing down his neck. Now the lights switch to green, and Grenville Anderson was very, very slow to move, and John Pine went quickly around the outside of Anderson. Anderson tucked in behind Pine. Perhaps he may be playing cat and mouse at the moment, Grenville Anderson, just seeing if he can make some outside passes and inside passes as well. But it's John Pine who got away far better than he at the start, and Pine has the running from Anderson. Then comes Robert Hayward, followed by Merv Hargraves, Pete Unwin, then Graham Milford in that 6th place, and 7th place now being held by Bob Christie. There's John Buckerfield retiring infield. Heading down Main Straight with 3 to go, and it's John Pine away from Grenville Anderson with Robert Hayward and Mervyn Hargraves, Peter Unwin and Graham Milford and Bobby Christie, the cars that hold down the qualifying spots at the moment.
And Peter Unwin has gone. He's given up the opportunity. He went into the infield, and as they come round turn 4 and head past the judge, it's Grenville Anderson in front again of Pine, followed by Hayward. Then we've got the Queenslander Hargraves, followed then by Graham Milford. Bobby Christie, the Goulburn driver, has got up into the place there, and behind him is Carl Jeffrey, and Peter Unwin has given away a chance and will have to face a repechage. There's 1 to go. Grenville Anderson of Lismore leading away here from Pine of Newcastle, then the Queenslander Hayward, followed by compatriot Merv Hargraves, then Graham Milford, Bobby Christie in 27 and Carl Jeffries in 7. But the checkered flag is up, and it's Grenville Anderson from Pine, followed by Hayward. Then comes Hargraves from Lilford, Christie, then Jeffries, Peter Unwin on the outside of the Wollongong driver, then Jeffrey Derwin. But the rest of them will have to go through the repechage, and Stu Robertson at the back of the field there may possibly be looking for a start in the repechage. Some drivers may feel that it could be a little easier to win their way into the big 12 and car number 7, and we've got some car number 7s tonight as Terry Gaynor. There's Don McEwen in 118 and Bill Harris in 15, but Nesbitt, we'll remember when we saw him come out in this beautifully prepared piece of equipment, had some real handling problems early, and we sincerely hope that he's got it together now and that he gets a very good run for his money tonight. But they line up, and once again, here's Ross to take them out of the gate for you.
Right, a pretty good field too, Rod, and the action's going to be on again. Up front we have Lismore's 33, that's Wayne Randall. And away they go. Randall got the best of the start. Henry Jones got a bit of a buffeting there from Phil Harris. There's an opening there for Henry Jones to try and slide through, but he can't manage it. In fact, he's copping heaps from Gary Bevan behind him at the moment, as Henry Jones just doesn't seem to be firing on all 6 there, and he's really balking the way there of some of the drivers back in the pack. All right, the race settles down a bit now, and it's Wayne Randall, the race leader. He's out in front in the Lismore car number 33 from Owen Johnson. In the Cooma car number 67, Brian Burrell gets up there into 3rd place in car 18. The Tamworth car number 7 of Terry Gainan is holding down 4th spot. And then comes Gary Bevan in 5th place. And then follows Henry Jones in 6th, and Phil Harris running 7th, with Don McEwen just out of the action at the moment, along with car number 86 of Graham Tunt. Oh, there's some slicing going on back there between Phil Harris, Don McEwen and Henry Jones, and there's certainly plenty of sparks flying here in this 3rd heat of the 1979 National Speedway Grand Prix. Up front the action's thick and fast too, with Wayne Randall holding off Owen Johnson, trying to come through on the inside. Burrell's looking for the drop on both of them. Randall's got up high now, and this allows Johnson to come through. Is Burrell quick enough to follow him through? And I think Burrell will close the gate on Randall. No, Randall got down very cleverly there and maintained 2nd place. Look at McEwen and Bevan having a big partners there coming out of turn 2, and there is action all over the track at the moment. Owen Johnson leads away from Wayne Randall, followed by Brian Burrell in 3rd place, then Terry Gainan running 4th. Gary Bevan is in 5th place, Don McEwen right behind him in 6th spot, and Phil Harris going out of the event and hammering a few cars there too, as he made a track exit. Now it's Henry Jones, and a car getting hooked up back there with him is Ross Nicastri, the golden number 3. Down Main Straight, Owen Johnson leads away from Wayne Randall. Burrell looking for an insider. Bevan going right around the outside. Then comes Terry Gaynor, followed by Don McEwen. But the action really thickening up front here as Gary Bevan starts to make his way to the lead.
Owen Johnson it is in the green 67, leading away, and he's leading away extremely well too from Wayne Randall. He's been driving indeed well, as this Owen Johnson from Randall, followed then by Burrell looking for the inside pass now, and Gary Bevan tooling that big Superbird along very, very nicely. Immediately behind him is Terry Gaynor of Tamworth, followed then by Don McEwen, and by gee, this front pack has really tangled itself up here, but it's still Johnson the leader. Owen Johnson from Cooma, and look at Gary Bevan looking for places to go here, will you? He can find no place to go at all, and it's Johnson the leader. Johnson from Hayward. Bevan then waves to the steward. I think that was a friendly gesture of happy birthday, but it's Johnson the leader. Johnson away here, and he's doing it very, very well. By geez, hung on to that extremely well, this boy. You've got to hang out there, but Wayne Randall's been giving him heaps as they come around the turn there. Followed then by Bevan in 3rd place. Then we've got Don McEwen. Oh, and Burrell has spun in the straightaway here. He's got a bump, and oh, they've all missed him. Oh, that's unusual to see Bugs Burrell do a spin there in the straightaway, but he got out of bother very nicely. Let's have a look at this situation. There's a black flag here. There's a black flag out here. We'll get a check on the steward. We'll get a check from the steward, but there's a black flag out to a driver there. I missed it, Ross. Who was it? Did you notice?
Yes, Gary Bevan has been given the black flag.
Now we've got the heat underway again, and it is a single file start with 3 laps to go, and it's Owen Johnson of Cooma leading away. There's the green. Johnson away here from car number 33, and that's Wayne Randall, but Randall is under challenge already from Don McEwen. Then Gaynor of Tamworth in car number 7 in 4th slot, followed by Harris. Then Ian Walters behind, no, that's car number 3 behind him. The colour's the same. That's Ross Nicastri. But it's Don McEwen that goes to the lead. McEwen now leading from Owen Johnson, followed then by Randall. Behind him is the Tamworth driver Gaynor. Long way back then to Nicastri, a similar distance back to Harris, and the rest of them are out of it. There's 1 lap to go here, and it's McEwen the leader. McEwen leading away from Owen Johnson. There's Nicastri gone infield there. He's got some bother. Looks like front end bother there too, but let's get back to the race, and it's Don McEwen who will greet the checkered flag in 118, followed by Johnson in 67, Randall in 33, Gaynor in 7, Harris in 15. 86 is Tunks, the driver from Sydney, and Henry Jones, who may just have made it. That's 2, 4, 6, 7. Yes, Henry Jones would have made it after all that bother, the motor not firing well at all, and the veteran from Dubbin.
Sure, it looks like car number 14 from here. Paul McHugh is moving up in Newcastle 1. We also have Sydney 88, Ross Mobbs in the Ross Mobbs Automotive Tirana out there. Peter Garrett is in 51. We are getting set for a start to Heat 4. And away they go. Max Marr got away well on the inside. David House went very quickly. Ron Shepherd copped a bump from behind in a hurry up as Paul McHugh tried to come through on the inside. Adrian Anderson well back in the pack and looking for a way through. There's that screaming pack of cars heads down the back. Fred Seary came out of nowhere too. Max Marr from Lismore is the leader from David House, followed then by Paul McHugh. Oh, there's certainly some hurry up going on back in the pack with cars getting all screwed up. Oh, there's trouble too. Wang smash. Cars in all sorts of problems. Back here in the middle of turns 1 and 2, and Adrian Anderson is one of those cars. Certainly not meeting with a great deal of luck over the last couple of meetings here, Adrian Anderson. But all that happened right back here in the... Now the race restarts with 11 to go. Down the straight, they get the green. David House got away very quickly. Oh, Max Marr gave a big lean over David House and he's gone right in front of everybody. And this time we should see a start to Heat 4. Plenty of tension in Heat 4. Siri picking up his position and still only one lap down. Away they go. David House again got the lead. Paul McHugh tucking in behind. Ross Mobbs going very high up on the track and losing a couple of places there as Adrian Anderson and Fred Siri. Well, that's certainly a change of fortunes for Anderson. With only one lap down, he was right back in the pack, and now have a look at it. He's up in position 5. Now here's McHugh putting the weights on David House up front. David House is holding out at the moment with Paul McHugh hot on his hammer. You just have a look at this cool, clinically correct style of David House now. Paul McHugh is going to have to really work away to get at House, because House will keep it down tight and low. Here's McHugh working on him. House coming back across, and it's going to be very, very difficult for McHugh to make an inside pass on David House. He keeps his cool. He maintains his own pace out in front. He dictates the race from now on, and this race is going to be right in David House's hands, and it'll be full marks to McHugh or Siri if they can nail him.
It's David House of the ACT away from Paul McHugh in the 2HD David's Datsun, followed then by Adrian Anderson, and then a surprise packet. Peter Garrett up there in 4th spot at the moment, and immediately behind him is Fred Siri, who backed off a little then. Oh, there's trouble there. It's Adrian Anderson in bother there, and he's pulled into the infield in 6, and he hasn't been having the best of luck lately at all. But the lead car is still David House. David House away from Paul McHugh, and that's Fred Siri of Goulburn up there, the New South Wales number 1, followed by Peter Garrett, then Dennis Goodwin, and they're 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 at the moment. There's Pappas going past us now. Mobb's not doing too well at all, well back in the field, but it's David House. David House of the ACT, this very fine little sportsman, and Paul McHugh certainly working hard on the inside of David House, but he backed off nicely there. McHugh was forced to throw out the anchor, but it's really breathing down the neck of David House, and McHugh looking for the inside pass here, but House squeezing it up. McHugh electing to go through on the inside, and he's won the day. McHugh has gone to the front. McHugh from David House, followed by Siri, then Peter Garrett, Dennis Goodwin behind him. Then comes the car number 65, and that's Ken Laws from Pappas. And it's Paul McHugh. Paul McHugh, the leader, in the David's Datsun Mini, leading away very well there now from David House, who I feel has backed off a little. Fred Siri is quite content to stay there too. And the real battle royal now is going on between Peter Garrett and Dennis Goodwin. Garrett in 51, Goodwin in 31. But down past us with 2 laps to go, and it's McHugh.
Well, I did say that McHugh would thoroughly deserve to get the front if he could, and he's done just that. So he's making a big show of himself in this big 150-lap final tomorrow night, but there's the semi-finals left to go. With 1 lap to go, it's Paul McHugh from David House, then Fred Siri, followed by Peter Garrett and Dennis Goodwin having a ding-dong tussle back here in 4th and 5th place at the moment, with Ken Laws going through on the inside of Ross Mobbs. But it's Paul McHugh at the moment. Paul McHugh getting the checkered flag, winner of Heat 4. 2nd place goes to David House. Then came Goulburn number 1, Fred Siri, followed by Peter Garrett. Then came Dennis Goodwin in the Mini 31. Ken Laws in Sydney 65 was the 6th car home, and then Jim Pappas in car number 22 would be in that all-important 7th place, with Wayne Jones in 49 and Ross Mobbs in...
Speaking of 2HD, you can tune to 1143 2HD for Speedway with Ross Allen every Saturday morning at 11:15 a.m. And here's Ross now to take them out of the gate for you.
Now this is where we get down to the do-or-die efforts. Rapid Charge Heat 1. And already some of these drivers are going to say farewell to the 1979 National Speedway Grand Prix, and already Jeff Derwin is going to say farewell. He's headed to the infield, just stopped off the edge of the track. Jimmy Eccleston did well to miss him. Doug Waters got caught up in the backwash, and it's on. This is it. This is the last chance for these drivers out there to get through to the semi-finals. If they don't make it now, they are out. Let's see how they shape up this time down. The pressure is on and away they go. Now Jeff Derwin got away okay. This time Duncan McDonald tucked back into second place. Peter Unwin's holding down third at the moment. Then comes Terry Osmond from Wollongong in fourth place. John Buckerfield running fifth. Then comes Doug Waters. Going round the outside of him, Steve O'Connor. Coming through on the inside is Ian Sinclair. And there's Duncan McDonald really getting in trouble. Dougie Waters through sideways to avoid a collision with Now, let's see how we go. Right, we're away. And it's Jeff Derwin who bounced to the lead. Ian Sinclair buzzing his way around the outside of John Buckerfield. Buckerfield on the inside doesn't want to give away, and neither does Ian Sinclair. And Sinclair keeps the foot down as they head down the back straight and goes up into fourth place. Now it's 7 placings that'll go through. There's Bob Newton getting locked up at the moment, and it's Jeff Derwin leading the way. Jeff Derwin away in the yellow Tirana number 43. Right behind him is Peter Unwin in the big Falcon Superbird number 37. Then comes the Wollongong driver Terry Osmond in the Tirana number 7. Then the Victorian driver Ian Sinclair in the Mazda Coupe 75. And they're the top 4 runners. The only other 3 in qualifying positions at the moment is Steve O'Connor in position 5, John Buckerfield in position 6, and Jimmy Eccleston in position 7. Now we've got the 2 Sydney drivers, Gordon Smee and Bob Newton, stuck coming out of turn 4. See some steam pouring from the Gordon Smee car too, and certainly his chances of the 1979 National Speedway Grand Prix. Right, only 1 lap down, still 11 to go. And the pressure on in Repechage Heat 1. Jeff Derwin away. Peter Unwin seemed to give a couple of spitting coughs there and didn't fire away too well. He's attempting to tuck in underneath Derwin now, but there's no way through at the moment. Jeff Derwin is away from Peter Unwin, followed by Terry Osmond and Ian Sinclair. Steve O'Connor in position 5. Then we have Jimmy Eccleston in position 6, followed then by John Buckerfield in position 7. And they appear to be the cars that are going to go through to the semi-final at this point of time. Jeff Derwin in the yellow Tirana number 43 showing away. Peter Unwin is right behind him in the black Falcon number 37, and certainly putting some pressure on Derwin at the moment. Terry Osmond just seems to be content to hold down third place at the moment and get through to the semi-finals. Then we have a real dice going on with Jimmy Eccleston trying to come past the charging pair of Ian Sinclair and Steve O'Connor. Now O'Connor dived in underneath Sinclair, went out very high on the track and has surrendered about 3 placings there because of that driving error, and he's just going to tuck back in front of John Buckerfield, but even Buckerfield was able to come through on the inside and relegate O'Connor back to that awkward 7th position. It's Jeff Derwin in Tirana number 43, in fact now starting to move away from Peter Unwin in the Falcon number 37. In third place is Terry Osmond in car number 7, followed by Ian Sinclair in 75, and then comes Jimmy Eccleston in car number 7. Down main straight away with 6 laps to go, Jeff Derwin is the race leader.
And he's leading it very comfortably too from Osmond, the Wollongong driver, who's got up into second place. There's Peter Unwin endeavouring to stay with Osmond there, but Osmond, having the lower of the 2 lines, comes away in second spot from Unwin. He's being pressured now by the Victorian Sinclair in the Mazda, and they're followed by Jimmy Eccleston, who appears to be just content to stay out of bother there and qualify. John Buckerfield in 74 and Max Bargent in 83. But the lead car is Jeff Derwin. Derwin coming down here now past the judge with 5 to go, and he's going further away from them. He's a most improved driver, this fellow Derwin. Followed then by the Wollongong driver Osborne. There's the Victorian Sinclair up into 3rd place. Peter Unwin having a look to go underneath him again, but hasn't got the steam. Then comes Jimmy Eccleston, a long way back then to Buckerfield. Behind him is Bygent. Then Bob Newton, the Sydney sider, not having any run of luck at all, with Derwin going underneath him and actually lapping him here with 3 laps to go. It's Derwin the leader. He's kicked a long way away then from Osborne of Wollongong in 2nd place, followed then by the Victorian Sinclair in 75, then coming Peter Unwin in 37, followed by Jimmy Eccleston in 7, a long way back then to John Buckerfield, and tucked away in behind Buckerfield there, of course, is Max Bygent. But there's no question about the leader. This is Peter, at least Jeffrey Derwin. And Jeff Derwin with 1 to go has it comfortably sewn up from Osborne of Wollongong, followed by Sinclair of Victoria, then Peter Unwin of Newcastle, who has an opportunity to get under Sinclair again here, as Sinclair's picking any old kind of line, and Unwin does so too. But it's Derwin the winner. He greets the checkered flag, and it's Jeff Derwin who'll come home first, from Osborne of Wollongong 2nd. On the inside, I'd give it then to car number 75, that's Sinclair of Victoria, followed then by 37, that's Peter Unwin. Then came Jimmy Eccleston in 7. Whoa! There was a good piece of driving that just managed to stop before our Tetron Engineering safety fence. Max Bygent was there, and John Buckerfield goes over the line backwards. And the last car to...
And Bevan is not taking his part in the field. Now as they come down the main straight, let's see if they get a start to Repicharge 2. Yes, away they go. Now Max Marr on the inside got away okay. Nesbitt on the outers not doing badly either, and he tucks in behind Max Marr. But it's Max Marr in the Norman Ross. Oh, John Nesbitt really scraping the fence over there. Something's gone hellishly wrong with the car. And Nesbitt really slow. Max Marr got away okay. This time Gary Searle's the driver who's putting a bit of pressure on him early in turns 1 and 2. Nesbitt being left right back behind at the back of the pack. But it's Max Marr who should cement a place in the semi-finals now. Leading away from Gary Searle. Oh, Phil Harris is in trouble and hampered Ross McCastry, who came through on the inside of him very quickly. And it's goodbye for Phil Harris too. Max Marr leading away from Gary Searle. Then comes Ted Stewart in car number 14, followed by Rob Ulrich in car 8. Going up wide on the track is Stewart, allowing Ulrich to come through on the inside. Ross McCastry got hampered a bit there as Ulrich clouded him. Ray Hall's gone infield. Now we've got cars going everywhere, round and round in circles, and it's certainly a real harem-scarum heat, Repicharge Heat 2. Rob Ulrich in the Tirana number 8. And Adrian Anderson is not going to get a start because of a tyre. Anderson looks like missing out on the 1979 National Speedway Grand Prix final tomorrow night, continuing his real run of disaster here at the Motordrome in the last couple of weeks. Signalling to the stewards that it was a driver who got untidy down the back straight and caused his demise, but then, them's the brakes.
And they are the brakes, and tomorrow night, for the big $12,500 prize money, Adrian Anderson of Uralla will not be sitting up there in the lineup of cars.
Certainly made a mess of things, Rod. The rim is completely buckled, the tyre is tuned to shreds, and that's one heck of a mess there. And that was the sort of problem that Adrian had last week in the Lions Grand Classic too. He ruined a rim, and it looks like the same thing has happened again this week. Right, only 6 cars left, so they're all going to go through to the 1979 Grand Prix final. the prang we've had here with Ross Mobbs. Let's get a check that he's all right first of all. Do we need ambulance attention for Ross Mobbs?
He's treated now, Bill.
No, he's okay. Wow, what a mess. Look at that Tirana. The two Sydney boys really, well, crashed, Rod. We've certainly lost some names out of this heat. Burrell didn't start, Bevan didn't start, Adrian Anderson's gone, Phil Harris is gone, and that's not a bad 4 drivers. There's only 10 laps left to go of Heat 2, and these drivers will just cruise around on a pleasant Saturday night drive and qualify their way through to the semi-finals a little later on. Max Maher in the Norman Ross Monaro is going to get his chance to sort himself out and sort the car out on the track. He's up a little high, but he's doing it okay. Ross Nicastri comes up into second place past Gary Searle. And Nicastri's going to get through to the... I wonder would Gary Bevan and Brian Burrell be kicking themselves that they couldn't get out to get a run in this heat. You know, it looked tough from the start, but as it's turned out, Max Maher's won in a walk. Ross Nicastri is going to finish second quite easily. Gary Searle finishes third, and then there are 4 semi-final spots going to be vacant. For the running of this final heat repechage, only 4 of them go to the final. It's ta-da to 3 of them. Adrian Anderson, Phil Harris, Gordon Smee and Brian Burrell have got to be the top contenders, I think. They'll come into the main straight. They'll get green. Adrian Anderson went very quickly. Brian Burrell not happy, he didn't get away well at all, and Burrell seems to still be in problems with that car. Here's trouble up front. Car number 41 from Collar Enterprise, Duncan McDonald spinning out, and cars that originally rolled onto the circuit will continue. Adrian Anderson on the front, and the complete restart to Heat 4 repechage. Well, certainly the Mini of Brian Burrell not doing anything at the moment. It just won't even get a go on. Adrian Anderson down the back straight leads away from the Colorado. Oh, John Nesbitt slam into the fence. Bounced off all right though. And the Collar Enterprise drivers copped it from behind, in front, in the back. And Duncan McDonald gets bounced right to the infield. Brian Burrell getting nothing out of the Mini at the moment. It won't fire. But Adrian Anderson strolling away from Phil Harris, then Gordon Smee, John Nesbitt and Bob Newton. But it's only 4 cars that go through. And the 4 cars that are going to go through at the moment are Adrian Anderson, Phil Harris, Gordon Smee, and John Nesbitt. They're the 4 in the qualifying positions at the moment. Adrian Anderson going a lot better now. Phil Harris holding on to second place with Gordon Smee right on his bumper bar for third. John Nesbitt is running 4th. Now Brian Burrell about to be lapped by Adrian Anderson. That's how slow Burrell's going. He's been lapped. Phil Harris, Gordon Smee, John Nesbitt, Bob Newton boxing on there in 5th place in an endeavour to go through to the big final, but he's not in it at the moment. Here's Gordon Smee pulling an insider on Phil Harris. Anderson, Phil Harris, Gordon Smee, John Nesbitt, then Bob Newton, long way back to Burrell and then back to Duncan McDonald. McDonald finding it hard to move over. Now he moves over. Then Phil Harris and Gordon Smee fighting it out for second and third. John Nesbitt's 4th. They're the only 4 that matter at the moment. The rest will fail to qualify for the Grand Prix. Our race leader at the moment, Urala driver Adrian Anderson. A former New South Wales Sedan champion and leading away nicely.
Adrian Anderson it is. Brian Bowell having no end of problem here. Can't get any drive at all out of the Mini. McDonald, of course, has been lapped. Then comes Harris, followed by Smee and Nesbitt. So we've got Anderson, Harris, Smee and Nesbitt, the drivers who appear at this stage to have qualified for the 150 lap final, or for the semi-finals tonight with 1 lap to go. It's Adrian Anderson from Harris, followed by Smee in the car number 3, then Nesbitt in 71, and Bowell has had the glorious action happen to him of having been lapped. Number 1, Sydney 1, then Smee in Sydney 3, followed by Nesbitt in 71. Then they will be the only cars to go forward to qualify, and Adrian Anderson after that early bingle doing in the right-hand rear wheel and rim has come out and qualified for the semi-finals in what could be a gift from the gods to him. There's the lineup again now for the first semi-final of the annual COCA-COLA Winfield National Speedway Grand Prix. They're still under the yellow light. Away they go. They'll go this time, no question. Yes, there's the green flag. And it's Goodwin. Oh, Goodwin in all kinds of bother, but he hung on to it very, very well. This allowed Peter Unwin to take up the lead as they came out of turn 2, leading away from Landau, followed by Pine. Immediately behind him is McEwen. Oh, there's 4 cars abreast there as they come round the corner. And it's... That's Pascoe forcing his way up on the inside of McEwen there, followed by Marr. Then behind him comes Pizzuti, followed then by Lang, who's really dropped back a place or 2, I'll tell you. Then Dennis Goodwin. Behind Goodwin comes Bobby Christie, then of Goulburn, followed by that's Searle, who gave him a nudge. Then Jimmy Eccleston, Bygin and Henry Jones. Change in leader here. And it's John Pine that's gone to the front. Pine has gone to the front, and he's gone to the front away over Don McEwen, followed by Peter Unwin. But John Pine in the car 9 from Unwin, at least McEwen. There's the yellow light on as cars scramble left, right and centre in the corner down here. And it was the Queenslander Randall, I feel, that spun in the corner here. And Jimmy Eccleston and a mob of other drivers round there. Now there's the green, and they're away again. And this time it's McEwen that goes with Pine, but they don't go very far at all before Jimmy Eccleston. And who is that? That's Pascoe. Yes, the Queenslander number 1, Pascoe and Eccleston.
Well, it'll be burning the midnight oil tonight in an attempt to get Les Pascoe back in action for tomorrow. There'll be some midnight oil burned, and the fellows will probably have a 24-hour job to get it mobile again. And knowing Les Pascoe, he'll be back there tomorrow, ready for action.
Yes, sir, there's the signal. Les says, I'll be here at 7 a.m. in the morning.
We have 3 stewards in control of this meeting. And we have one of them appointed by the Australian Saloon Car Federation from Sydney, one from Lismore, and one from our own home club. John Pine, Don McEwen going round the outside of Pine though as the light goes green, and it's Don McEwen who takes up the running from John Pine. Peter Unwin is in third place at the moment, followed by Dennis Goodwin, but Neb Pizzuti comes on in the inside of Goodwin. Then we have Peter Garrett, followed by Wayne Randall. There's a car spinning out, Max Bayesian. He's come back onto the track, interfered with Henry Jones, and Jones can't seem to go anywhere but backwards tonight. Down the back straightaway, Don McEwen, the race leader. Peter Unwin holding down second spot now and setting sail after McEwen. John Pine's in trouble. He's moved over and allowed the pack to come through. And Neb Pizzuti, Dennis Goodwin and Peter Garrett were quick to come through. Wayne Randall tried the dog. Garrett's gone. Bam! What a place to go. Well done, Bob Christie. He headed for the highness up on the fence, the safety area. Now, Don McEwen, Peter Unwin make the front line with 8 laps of the first semi-final to go. And away they go. John Pine coming through on the inside of Peter Unwin. John Pine, second place. Peter Unwin, third. Then we have Neb Pizzuti, followed then by Dennis Goodwin. Wayne Randall, the Lismore driver, holding down fifth place. Now Pine goes up high on the circuit again, tries to come back down low, but it's all too late because Wayne Randall's got through and Bobby Christie's going to get through too, and Jim Eccleston's going to go through underneath Pine too. Pine comes back across the bows of Eccleston now, and he holds on to that seventh place. Now it's Don McEwen out in front of Neb Pizzuti. Boy, he moves quickly, this Pizzuti. Then comes Unwin, who's getting the caution flag now from Dennis Goodwin. Then comes Wayne Randall, followed by Bobby Christie, and then we have John Pine and Jimmy Eccleston. But it's Pizzuti, look at him trying a shot at the inside of McEwen. McEwen and Pizzuti down main straight away. And there's the caution out again on Peter Unwin. Then comes Dennis Goodwin, followed by Wayne Randall and Bob Christie. Then comes John Pine. But Don McEwen leading away from Neb Pizzuti. Then comes Peter Unwin, and then Dennis Goodwin and Wayne Randall. Down the main straight away, McEwen holding Pizzuti at bay at the moment. Pizzuti putting the pressure on McEwen though, and as they come out of turn two, it's Don McEwen and Neb Pizzuti. Pizzuti, the Lismore driver, looking for an outside pass on McEwen as they go down the back. McEwen backs off a little. Pizzuti makes a throw on the inside, and McEwen and Pizzuti waging a two-car war out in front.
Yes, and it's still Don McEwen, and he's backing off a little in the corners and holding up Pizzuti there. That's a classic piece of driving by McEwen. He's got the road, and he's smelling the breeze now, and he's got Pizzuti tied up in all kinds of knots there. Pizzuti looking for the outside and inside. There's Dennis Goodwin coming through underneath Peter Unwin, followed by Randall. Bobby Christie doing it calmly at the back there. Then John Pine, Jimmy Eccleston from Gary Searle, and last of all is Henry Jones. But round turn four, they come with 1 lap to go, and it's still Donnie McEwen. And they're staging a hand-to-hand battle up here at McEwen and Pizzuti, but it's McEwen, Pizzuti, followed by Dennis Goodwin in 31. There's Peter Unwin. Behind Peter Unwin comes 33, and that's Randall, the Queenslander, but it's all over. And Don McEwen will take out this semi-final. McEwen away from Pizzuti, followed by Goodwin, then Peter Unwin from Randall. Bobby Christie in 27, Pine in 9. Then Jimmy Eccleston in 7 from Searle in 79, and last of all to finish was Henry Jones of Forbes.
Those are the cars that will come out in the next semi-final. It's a printing error being left out of the program tonight. Semi-final number 3. But
right, well I'll do semi-final number 2 because semi-final number 3 will be a commentator's nightmare, not a dream as you mentioned earlier. So I'll do the easy one in respect of my age. Let's go, they're underway. Paul McHugh immediately skips away from the Victorian Sinclair, followed through there in 3rd place by the much improved Jeff Derwin. Boy, look at McHugh really tool that little Mini along. He's got it firing and it's really going. Paul McHugh from Sinclair, followed by Derwin, then Graham Lilford from Fred Seary, followed by Day and Johnson. There's Tungsten going round the outside of him is Johnny Cartwright in 2. Not in a very... No, that's not Cartwright. Yes, it is. It's Cartwright in 2, but it's McHugh the leader. McHugh leading away here from Sinclair, followed by Derwin. Then behind him comes Graham Lilford. Fred Seary getting up into the action there. Johnson just in front of Cartwright, and behind Cartwright's end is Day in the car number 4. But the lead car, Paul McHugh and the 2HD David's Mini kicking right away here from the Victorian Sinclair. Then, as I say, the much improved Jeff Derwin lying in 3rd spot at the moment, and he's being hounded by Fred Seary of Goulburn. Then Graham Lilford in the street and strip car is up there doing very well at the moment from the Cooma driver Johnson. Immediately behind him comes Hotfoot John Cartwright, followed by Day in 4. Then coming Nicastri, followed by Tunks. On the outside is Roberts from Merle Hargraves, Smee, and the last car is Pappas.
Down the main straightaway, and the David's 2HD Mini and Paul McHugh is really going on with the job. In 2nd place, Ian Sinclair from Victoria. Jeff Derwin doing a great job to hang on to 3rd place at the moment, and he is a vastly improved driver, Derwin. He's boxing it on with the best of them at the moment. In fact, he's holding the New South Wales Sedan champion Fred Seary at bay. We've got a yellow light as Gordon Smee is in trouble right in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Oh, big sigh of relief from Jeff Derwin there. He's really got the pressure on him. He's obviously concentrating his heart out, and it's a top effort by normally a B-grade driver here at the Newcastle International Motordrome to be doing so well in this series. Graham.
Away they go. Fred Seary gets around Derwin there in the rush into the first corner, and it's Paul McHugh away again from Sinclair, followed by Seary, then Derwin. Behind Derwin is Cartwright, slowly but surely making ground. Then Lilford, followed then by Newcastle. Johnson coming round the outside is Merv Hargraves from Bill Roberts, Gordon Smee, then Tunks. Second last is Day, and last of all is Con Pappas. From here there will be 5 laps to go, and it's the David's 2HD Mini of Paul McHugh leading the pack at the moment.
Paul McHugh away from Fred Seary now, who's gone into second place. Ian Sinclair is running third. John Cartwright is fourth. Then comes Graham Lilford, followed then by Ross Newcastle and Owen Johnson. Jeff Derwin's gone. There's been a little bit too much pressure on the Tirana, I think, and it's starting to misfire. First place at the moment being held by Paul McHugh, and he's careering away from the field. Second place, Fred Seary now, getting out after McHugh, but Seary will be happy to finish in second place, I'd say. Ian Sinclair running third, John Cartwright fourth, Graham Lilford fifth, and Ross Newcastle in sixth place. Now the drivers missing out at the moment are Merv Hargraves and Billy Roberts, and Hargraves and Roberts trying to get around Johnson to get a crack up into the top 6. It's all Paul McHugh at the moment. The David's 2HD Mini is really rocketing on. Now Seary's got them stacked up. In fact, Seary's in troubles. Okay, down the straight, and away they go. McHugh got away quickly. Seary right behind. Cartwright coming across. Sinclair and Cartwright going hard into the corner. Cartwright got around Sinclair. Sinclair back to 4. Now Lilford's 5. And then Johnson is 6. And then Hargraves looking for a chance to get up there too. McHugh in first place. Seary second. Cartwright third. Sinclair is 4th. Lilford is 5th. Johnson is 6th. And Hargraves has got to pick up one more place if he's to go straight into the final. Hargraves looking for a way around Johnson. There's only a lap to go. That's where the interest is at the moment. Can Hargraves get underneath Johnson? Roberts is trying to get underneath Hargraves, but there's no way there. Here's the last ditch effort now for Hargraves to get into the final tomorrow. If he can get underneath Johnson, he can't do it. The race is going to be won by Newcastle's Paul McHugh. Second place is going to go to New South Wales' Fred Seary. Then comes John Cartwright, followed by Ian Sinclair. Yes, Graham Lilford in Newcastle 67 was 5th home, and Queensland 74, Merv Hargraves just nosed the Falcon in front of Owen Johnson to chop him out of the 1979 final. Well, that's a direct qualifier to the final anyway.
They start to roll. I'll take this one out of the gate for you, and we're looking at, there it is, the green flag is up, and immediately Housey jumps to the front from Osmond, followed by Harris. Behind Harris then comes Walters. On the outside is Nesbitt. Inside is Buckerfield trying to go through on the inside of him. Then is Jeffrey. He's been pushed out of the way, opening up the gate there for Adrian Anderson. There's Grenville Anderson. Whoa, whop! Buckerfield headlong straight into the fence. No big pardons about that. He hit the fence head on at a rate of knots, and he stopped as if he'd thrown out 10 anchors.
Grenville Anderson's on the infield rod. He's out of the action, the former national Sedan champion.
Yes, there's Grenville in there. He'll probably come out in a repechage tomorrow. They're away. And it's David House. He's out where he likes to be, and that's catching the breeze. Out in front from Harris. Followed then by Walters on the inside of Osmond. Then there's Adrian Anderson looking for the inside pass on Osmond too. Getting it as he tries to come inside Walters in one sweep also. Ralph Ranger getting really squeezed up there, but Ralph is... Oh, Harris backed off very quickly there too. Then came down equally quickly and shut the gate. But Ranger is up into 5th place at the moment. but it's David House the leader. House away from Walters, followed by Harris in one, then Adrian Anderson from Ralph Ranger getting through on the inside of Osmond. There's Hayward looking for him too at the moment, followed by Laws, then coming Harris from Nesbitt, and last of all is Gainan of Tamworth. But it's the ACT star David House, way out in front of Walters, then Harris, followed by Anderson, Ralph Ranger in car number 6, followed by Hayward in 36, Laws in 75. Outside of Laws then comes Nesbitt. But there's the leader, David House. House away from Walters, followed by Harris, Adrian Anderson, Ralph Ranger. YG Harris elects to take the high line up there going round the corner, but he quick and lively tightens it up as he comes out of the turn. But this time Anderson has managed to get through on the inside of him, and so too has Ranger.
Down the back straight goes the Canberra driver, a former national champion, David House. And it's David House leading, good 150 metres or so over Ian Walters in second place. And by gee, Walters has got to be one of the most consistent drivers here at the Motordrome. He just keeps going round and around and around. And it's never always round and round and around the back of the field either. He's always up there with the front leaders. David House away from Ian Walters. Now Adrian Anderson and Ralph Ranger staying to close the gap on Walters. Phil Harris in the Sydney car is back in 5th place. And then in that vital 6th spot at the moment is Ken Laws. But there's Laws getting past Harris as I speak of, but House is burning this track up. He's really scintillating around. Walters in the orange Tirana 17 in 2nd place. In 3rd place Adrian Anderson, and in 4th place Ralph Ranger. And that's where the action is happening at the moment, with Walters and Anderson. Ranger dropping back off a little. Walters holding Anderson at bay at the moment. Ranger content to tuck in 4th place. Then Ken Laws and Phil Harris. David House going right away with the car race in the ACT car number 77. But it's back in the pack where Ian Walters and Adrian Anderson and Ralph Ranger are fighting it out. Now Anderson attempts to make an outside pass on Walters as they go down the back straight into turns 3 and 4. Walters on the inside, Anderson on the outside. Now Ranger tucks in behind Anderson, and these 3 cars are staging a fantastic battle as they come out of turns 2 and down the back straight. Ian Walters, Adrian Anderson and Ralph Ranger really locking it up. Here's Anderson attempting to get around the outside of Walters again. Walters on the inside, Anderson on the outside, Ranger going the outside now too. The white flag waves to indicate 1 lap left to go, and here's the race winner coming home now. David House in the ACT car number 77, an easy winner in semi-final number 3. 2nd place is going to be a hard-fought second for Adrian Anderson. 3rd place went to Ian Walters, followed by Newcastle's number 6, Ralph Ranger. Then came Sydney 65, Ken Laws, Sydney 1, Phil Harris, and then the Wollongong driver Terry Osmond, followed home then by Bill Harris. So the top 6 drivers to make the final 18 drivers for the big Grand Prix final tomorrow night. ACT 77, David House first. Uralla 6, Adrian Anderson 2nd. Newcastle 17, Ian Walters 3rd. Newcastle 6, Ralph Ranger 4th. Sydney 65, Ken Laws was 5th. And Sydney 1, Phil Harris, the all-important 6th place. We now have 18 drivers into the 1979 Grand Prix final. There's one more chance left tomorrow night. That one more chance will come with the semi-final repechage heats 1 and 2. Well, I'm going to see you tomorrow night, no doubt, for the running of the 150-lap grand final of the 1979 National Speedway Grand Prix. That takes us away for tonight's program. Ross Allen saying tell your friends about it. Tune to 2HD for the latest news and come back tomorrow night.
Oh boy, I'm going to have my can of Coke at a Winfield right now. I'll be back loaded up with Coke and Winfield tomorrow night. This is Rod. Have a safe journey to your respective home and a happy and holy Easter. advice, if you've got a star out there that you want to support, then let him know, because they thrive on your applause. And boy, I can imagine. I've just had a look around the crowd, and there are some butterflies in bellies there too, I notice. However, sit back, relax, with your Winfield and can of Coca-Cola for the 1979 Coca-Cola Winfield National Grand Prix.
Okay, this is look set.
Boy Gaynor leader with a problem there, and that's bad luck indeed, because McHugh appeared to have everything under control there, and I'm interested in where David House is sitting at the moment too. He's got it well and truly under control, but we're now in those 5 laps coming to...
He escaped my notice altogether. That's an incredible move. Right, away they go. And Pizzuti got away very smartly too, and he really bounced away from McHugh there. Left McHugh absolutely standing.
Queensland 9 leading away here from Paul McHugh. Lismore it is, Lismore 9 from McHugh, followed then by David House. At the moment, but it's Pizzuti leading away in this Speedway Star group of laps with 138 to go. Pizzuti leading from followed by David. Coming Ralph Ranger from then John Cartwright, who's up on the outside of Hargraves. Is Don McEwen inside there getting the rough and tumble scramble. There's Adrian around the outside of him, and very well, I tell you at this stage. Coming away here in the Speedway Star 5 laps, and Paul McHugh, followed then by David House, Ranger from Mar. Behind him, right then comes McHugh from Hargraves. Behind Hargraves is Brett Seary, followed then by Adrian Anderson, but here's the leader, and he's coming in nicely to get that 14th lap, or 5th, yes, the Cartwright to next series. But it's still Pizzuti. Pizzuti the leader. And McHugh is in bother. Oh, McHugh is in bother. Yes. Oh, McHugh is in bother. The green light is still on though. They're still running. And there's the yellow now. The yellow light on, and Paul McHugh in bother as he went out of this turn here. He left trackside and went infield at a rate of knots that indicated that Paul McHugh is in real trouble.
Rod, one of the major problems that the Minis suffer under this great strain is the cracking of a CV joint in the steering. Rod, it was strange that we got our first batch of withdrawals all at around about the same lap there. I noticed both Minis in trouble now. Dennis Goodwin is into his pit area. He has problems. And I noticed Les Pascoe and Peter Unwin are also drivers who have gone to the infield as well with their difficulties. But it looks like the race getting back underway again.
And we are into the Tetron engineering part of this particular event. Followed by Ralph Ranger, who's gained a position there. And it's Pizzuti that goes over the line in front of David House. And Pizzuti doing a 12-2. Pizzuti from David House, followed by Ralph Ranger. Then John Cartwright, who's moved up a place in front of Ma. And Ma has dropped back one, but there's Pizzuti over the line again. Pizzuti away from House, and House gave him a little nudge there as Pizzuti backed off. Right from Ma. Then Series starting to make ground too, and he's still a possible danger in this event, believe me. Followed then by Don McEwen, then Adrian Anderson from Lilford. Behind him is Hargrave. But still the leader is Pizzuti. Pizzuti and Lismore away from David House, Ralph Ranger, and we've got a problem. We've got a problem here with Graham Lilford and Don McEwen in the coming out of turn number 4. A problem with Lilford and McEwen, and the race is put under a yellow light situation again, and Pizzuti slows down and is brought back to them, but David House is sitting right on his hammer there, ready to make a move just when the opportunity presents itself. And the little fellow, the quiet man. Well, this hold up for a lap or so like this to get them started gives those drivers an opportunity infield too that they must count as a blessing.
Yes, well, there's John Pine, who's put a new tyre on, and he's back in the race, and he's only going to be one lap down.
Away they go in lap 29 it is, and it's Pizzuti. And Pizzuti has rocketed right away. Second place now in front of David House. And Ralph Ranger from Fred Seary. At least Adrian Anderson, then Fred Seary. But a caution flag going out here to John Cartwright. But it's still Pizzuti the leader in this Tetron engineering. The leader is gone right away now. Pizzuti has kicked away here in lap 30 as we complete the Tetron engineering part of the 150 Grand Prix.
But now we go into the David Statson of Gateshead 5 laps. And now Pizzuti really starting to put the Cadillac engines now. He's going quite away with this race. Pizzuti settling into a very fine groove, and he's really lapping up some lap money now. Is he ever? David House will have to try and stay in touch with him. John Cartwright running third. Ralph Ranger is fourth. Adrian Anderson fifth. Fred Seary sixth. Then comes Max Maher in seventh place. And Merv Hargraves running eighth. Cartwright dropping back through the field. Neb Pizzuti from Lismore in the blue and white Tirana number 9 is showing the way clearly from the red Tirana number 77 of David House. 108 laps left to go for Pizzuti, but House is quite within striking distance. We then have to go back to Adrian Anderson, who is running in third place, fourth place being held by Fred Seary, fifth place to Max Mars, sixth is Ralph Ranger, seventh is Merv Hargraves, eighth is Fred Anderson, ninth is Bob Christie, 10th is John Cartwright. Then Pizzuti going through again in the Newcastle four-wheel drive segment of the race. Leading from David House, who's right on his tail. Third place is Anderson, fourth place Seary, fifth place is Marr, sixth place is Ranger. As Pizzuti starts to really catch up the traffic now, and now we'll see whether David House starts to make his move and try to nail Neb Pizzuti. It's Pizzuti from House, then Anderson, Adrian Anderson, Fred Seary, Max Marr, Grenville Anderson, then right back to Hargraves, then Grenville Anderson. But Max Marr still leading the way as we move into the micro mix Raymond Terrace segment of the car race.
And it's still Neb Pizzuti who has broken the track record. He's been lapping at 17.783, and Pizzuti comes round to take out the first lap of the micro mix of Raymond Terrace segment of this 150-lap HINFIELD Grand Prix. David House having trouble getting underneath Harris there. Harris knows he's a faster car and should probably get the move over flag. He does so too, but there goes Pizzuti past the line again in front of David House. Then we move back into the first one. Let's have a look where it is. Who'd be sitting in third spot at the moment? Adrian Anderson in sixth, followed by Fred Seary. But here's the lead car. That's Neb Pizzuti coming past us again. And Pizzuti still holding on to this lead from House, going underneath McEwen at the moment. A long gap back then to Adrian Anderson, and there's on infield. The Victorian in trouble, but Pizzuti comes around again. And Pizzuti passes it, leading away from House, sitting right on his hammer and catching the slipstream at the moment as House. A long way back then to Adrian Anderson, who's trying hard to get around Dennis. Does so now, followed by Fred Seary. But there's Pizzuti going over the line again as we go out of the micro mix of Raymond Terrace segment of the event.
Into the wind, 5 laps now. And already Neb Pizzuti picked himself up about $400 worth of lap money at the moment. Neb Pizzuti leading away in the wind segment. David House right with him. There's a big gap back to Anderson and then Fred Seary, Max Marr, Ralph Ranger. Now Grenville Anderson is up into with trapping distance. He's about half a lap behind Neb Pizzuti. Pizzuti coming inside the slower cars as the caution flag is about to flash in the wind segment of the race. Pizzuti from David House. Oh, House going round the outside across the Castry. Okay, Pizzuti goes by again, leading this car race. Ross Nicastri stuck on the edge of the circuit, and now the yellow light goes on. Now, settling down with 95 laps remaining. All right, we're looking good. And we're away. No, we're not. Ross Nicastri in the corner. That's going to bring everybody undone. But everybody missed him. Well, I didn't see that either, Ross. Right, away they go this time. And look at Max Marr and Fred Seary. Oh, they're working at each other like a pair of wrestlers. Going through the corner. Grenville Anderson got the opportunity to go through on Seary too. But Anderson's up to 5 now. Right, Max Marr coming down the main straightaway. He's the race leader. In second place, we have David House being pressured by Adrian Anderson now. Grenville Anderson. But down the main straight, and it's Nev Pizzuti leading away. In second place at the moment is Adrian Anderson in Urella number 6. But it's Pizzuti really making a march on the race now. And Pizzuti has decided that his tactics will be to try and steal it now. And he's making an effort to sprint this field right up.
Yes, there's no doubt that Pizzuti has developed a tremendous passion for leading by great leaps of yards. And he's doing that as we go into the David Statson group of laps. And there have been 66 laps now run with Pizzuti leading away a long way back then to Adrian Anderson, who was up in second place. David House got back, and behind him is Sven Siri. But here's Pizzuti around the turn now, lap 67. The David Statson sales sponsored laps. Then we've got Adrian Anderson in second position. Then position as Pizzuti wraps past us again. Ma in third slot, Adrian Anderson. There's Grenville Anderson coming underneath Ma. And David House, as Ross pointed out, obviously suffering some problem. He's got wheels running out with smoke pouring out of the tyres. But here's Nev Pizzuti coming past us and getting ready to go out of the David Statson series of laps. As we come up, we come up to lap 70 now, and Pizzuti really trying to kick away from the field and doing exactly that. He's into lap 70 now. That's Pizzuti and doing it well. He's coming up here nicely, and he's gone out of the David Statson series of laps with 80 laps to run.
Only 5 laps to the halfway mark now, Rod. This is a pretty crucial stage of the race. They've all got to try and stay on the same lap now as Pizzuti. Pizzuti away from Adrian Anderson. Grenville Anderson is up to third. Grenville Anderson in third place. Maxmar is fourth. Then of course comes Red Series from Ralph Ranger. There's Pizzuti going past us again in the Australian Speedway News segment of the race. And it's certainly a tremendous car race. Here's Ranger and Merv Hargraves having a night now. Here's our race leader coming down the straight now, Nev Pizzuti. He's only a couple of laps away from the halfway mark. Pit crews are reminded not to come onto the track until all cars have stopped. Reminder to all pit crews not to come onto the track till all cars have stopped, please. Nev Pizzuti coming down the straightaway is only now 1 lap away from the halfway point. Point coming up now with 75 to go. And I make it the halfway mark now, but we've got 1 lap to go to the halfway mark with Pizzuti. Oh, there's Siri gone. Siri suffered a blow. Oil everywhere. Pizzuti, followed by Adrian Anderson, then Grenville Anderson, and I think we go into our pit stop there now, followed then by Ma, then Siri, who's gone. Now where's David House? David House, he's still over the back there. Now we'll have to stand by. There was no exact checkered flag out. There was only a white flag out, and we must go by the flag. But is that the pit stop? Have we reached the pit stop stage? If we can get an indication, yes. Looks like the arm is being waved that this is the pit stop stage. And pit crews are reminded not to come onto the circuit until all cars have reached their pit point and have stopped engines. Not waiting for the steward to give me the decision. There's the decision. Pit crews may enter the track. Pit crews may come onto the circuit. Now, ladies and gentlemen, although it looks very funny, this is where the time counts. And And the pit crews will now change tyres. They'll refuel, they'll check oil. There was a refuel and 2 outside tyres for the David House car, and yet he's out there in position 2 in less than what? I think it was about 4 minutes.
Give us the word on Fred Seary. What happened there?
Well, the Fred Seary pit stop was absolutely frantic. I didn't want to butt in on Fred. He was frantically pumping oil into the car. There's a drum of oil there that they were just gushing into it, and I didn't want to butt in on Fred to get an idea of an interruption, but it was panic stations at the Fred Seary stop, and I don't know that things are going to be too confident for a Seary finish here. They seemed happy enough. They were desperate to get the car back into the race, towards the front of the car race, but it was a major stop for him. I thought everything was cool and calm at the Grenville Anderson pit. I thought they were happy to just pick up the race and then go from there. But there is a problem there. There's a stone gone through the radiator. He's jammed it up with bars leaks in the hope that it will see out the remainder of the 75 laps.
Well, there it is. The picture for you from pit side there, from Ross and Adrian Anderson taking the great calculated risk and coming out with having done nothing else other than refueled and checked the oil. Now this driver from Uralla is no fool. He's been round the circuits a long time. He knows exactly what he's doing, knows what his equipment is. And now we get ready to get underway with the Scott McNaughton 5 laps, and Scott McNaughton, of course, is the distributor of McQuarrie tyres, McQuarrie Racing Tyres, and we're ready to get underway with this Scott McNaughton 5 laps.
And the first driver over the line running on Scott McNaughton McQuarrie tyres will receive a beautiful silver tray and goblets. Okay, away goes this second half of the race, and it's Adrian Anderson up the front of the car race. From Neb Pizzuti now in second place, David House running third, and then the small driver Wayne Randall up front. Oh, Don McEwen going through there brilliantly. But here's a change now. It's we're not riding down Neb Pizzuti anymore. We're riding down Adrian Anderson, and this was one of the major features of the pit stop. The drivers were aware of the pressure that was on them, and it's Adrian Anderson leading the way in the McQuarrie Racing Tyre Distributors section of the race. He's going to be pushed along fairly hard though by Neb Pizzuti. Pizzuti made an outside tyre change, and I see some spark coming from Pizzuti's car there. And it's these front 4 cars running hard and strong with Adrian Anderson out in front of Neb Pizzuti. David House is next, followed then by Wayne Randall, then John Pine, Max Marr and Grenville Anderson. Grenville Anderson desperately trying to drive his way through, and he does so too. Anderson comes through on the inside of Marr, and he's up into 6th place again. But it's his brother Adrian who's leading the way at the moment. Adrian Anderson away from Neb Pizzuti, who's breathing right in his boot. Neb Pizzuti's trying to climb in the boot of Adrian Anderson's car here. David House is right behind him, and then Wayne Randall. What a dark horse he's been. Randall in car 33. But as we reach the final of the McQuarrie Racing Tyres section of the race, we go into the central brake section of the race now. Central brake on 61 Harry Street, Newcastle.
And it's Adrian Anderson of Uralla that takes out the first of the central brake laps from Neb Pizzuti, followed then by David House, then Randall behind him, all the way back here then to John Pine. There's Grenville Anderson going to the inside of Pine and had to tack back again though. Here's the leader, and it's still Adrian Anderson of Uralla. Away out in front of Neb Pizzuti, followed by David House of the ACT, and then Randall of Lismore. Then behind him is Pine, followed by Grenville Anderson, starting to make ground. He's got in underneath Marr. The leader is Adrian Anderson. Adrian Anderson in the car number 6. Oh, there's House. He got up right around the outside of Pizzuti there in the straightaway, and House is looking for the inside of Anderson there. Oh, and they're locked together shoulder to shoulder, and House has taken up the running from Anderson. Great stuff. And round the corner they come along, give it a House. House in front. David House in front. Anderson, followed in by Randall in third spot, and we've got a problem. We've got a problem here with John Pine in turn number 1.
Grenville Anderson for the rear for causing the spin on John Pine. Coming into the main straight. 88 laps down. Oh, House is all sideways. Pine's gone again. Keeping the power on, and there goes Gasly sideways. Right, away we go, and it's Adrian Anderson out in front of Nev Pizzuti. There's plenty of action up front here. Pizzuti and Anderson, Anderson and Pizzuti. Neither of them will give way in the central brake segment of the race. And it's Adrian Anderson from Nev Pizzuti. Then comes Lismore driver Wayne Randall, followed by David House in 4th position. Max Maher is running 5th, then John Pine 6th, and Brent Leary is 7th, Ian Walters 8th, 9th Merv Hargraves, and 10th is Bob Christie. But as we go out of the central brake segment of the race and into the Malgrance Auto Spare segment of the race, it's a race lead for Adrian Anderson, coming under some challenge now from Pizzuti, and now it's Wayne Randall who's going to get trapped 1 out. Yes, Randall trapped 1 out as Anderson comes over the line to lead away in the Malgrance Auto Spare segment of the race.
Adrian Anderson away from them. Back into the spot again. Then he's followed by Randall, the Lismore driver behind Randall. Then here comes Maher of Lismore, then followed by Pine of Cessnock, and then Fred Seary, who's doing very, very well at the moment. And nose to tail behind Seary, followed by Hargraves, then McEwen. But still the leader is Adrian Anderson in this Malgrance Auto Spares section of the 150-lapper. There's David House trying to get out underneath Pizzuti there, but not pulling it off as they went into the corner. And it's Adrian Anderson doing it very well indeed, just in front of Nev Pizzuti. And behind Pizzuti comes David House of ACT, followed then by Randall. Behind Randall is Maher in 2, then comes Pine, behind Pine Seary. Still the race leader, Adrian Anderson. Adrian Anderson in the centre half of this Malgrance Auto Spares section of the 150-lapper. And there's Mark went in underneath Randall with a great run there, but he lost a couple of places in Division 2. And it's still Adrian Anderson the leader. Adrian Anderson away from Nev Pizzuti. Pizzuti had a go at Anderson there and rocketed him a little sideways, but Anderson came back at him again. And it's Grenville Anderson's gone to the infield. And it's Adrian Anderson that leads away from Pizzuti, followed by David House sitting there tightly in 3rd spot. Then behind House comes Randall, followed then by Pine, Hargraves, then Seary from Walters, McEwen, John Cartwright, then Christie from Harris, followed by second last is Newcastle, and last of all is Laws. But the leader, Adrian Anderson, still under tremendous pressure here at the moment. Anderson still under tremendous pressure. And they're going nose and tail Indian file. Adrian Anderson away from Pizzuti, followed then by David House, still hanging on to 3rd place there in front of Randall. He's followed then by Pine, then behind Pine in car number 2 is Maher, followed then by behind round the turn they come, and we start to go out of the Malgrance Auto Spares 10 laps of this 150, and it's Adrian Anderson.
Yes, Adrian Anderson leading the way from Nev Pizzuti. Then comes David House, followed by Wayne Randall. John Pine was a little bit keen to get through on there, and he got hooked up with Max Maher, with Fred Seary trying to drive through too. Then comes Ian Walters, but drivers getting a little impatient, realising that they're going to have to hold this one line as we go into the Kevin Hine and Pole service station, the Lake Road Glendale segment of the going to search for that inside break too instead of trying to wait for it. Adrian Anderson going down the back straight, past the wind for loose timer is our race leader. Anderson from Ned Pizzuti, and it's Anderson starting to clock up the lap money now. It probably was a pretty shrewd move of his to come out and get onto that fifth position once straight away, because he's realised that things are packing down hard on that track, and it's going to be very difficult for anyone to pass him. As we go out of the Kevin Hines Untitled Service Station segment of the race into the COCA-COLA section of the race, it's still Adrian Anderson. No move by anybody yet, and just where is the move going to come from? We don't know. Adrian Anderson from Neb Pizzuti, then David House, followed by Wayne Randall. Then we have John Pine, Brett Perry, Max Marr, Ian Walters, Merv Hargraves, Don McEwen. And here's a move by Pizzuti. Pizzuti makes a throw at Anderson, and Pizzuti's got through. Pizzuti finally made the move, and there's House through too, there's Randall through too. Now can John Pine come through as well? Yes. Once you get trapped out, it's death. There he's gone all the way back. Oh, fatal to get trapped out there, and he's gone altogether. Flat tyre for Anderson. Two flat tyres. Both inside tyres tuned right off the car. Oh boy.
Anderson really copped the big squeeze there.
And now we're going to see some fun and games with the double file start, with this being predominantly an inside race. Now, John Pine got down quickly, David House got down quickly too, and Neb Pizzuti is in the lead. Pizzuti away from David House, and we are in the COCA-COLA segment of the race, and it is Pizzuti leading away from David House, then Wayne Randall. Following him through is John Pine and Max Marr. Well, let's see now if Pizzuti, who was the race leader early on, can hang on long enough. Pizzuti away from House, then Randall, and now we've got Lismore running first, third, and fifth. Randall trying to get through on the inside of House there, but House didn't want any of that. And I would think that if these cars can't close the gap on Neb Pizzuti, that this is the end of the car race. It should be Pizzuti. We go out of COCA-COLA into Bob James Teamer.
And as we do, it's Neb Pizzuti opening up a bigger gap now over David House, who is trying to stall off the attempts of Wayne Randall. Then we go back to John Pine and Marr, followed by Walters. But there he goes across the line in front of David House. Oh, there's trouble here in the corner. There's a real bingle. There are cars everywhere. And David House went trackside to off trackside into centre field to escape that. And it looks very much as if Housey has got some problem there.
Now we are set, and we're away. House, he's going to get trapped out. House is going to get trapped out. Randall's taken him. He'll have to go back to second place. He now drives hard to go into second. Determined driving by House. Pizzuti, the race leader, from House. Followed then by Randall, then Max Marr, Ian Walters. It's Merv Hargraves, one out now. And once you get one out of the Merv, it's danger. In fact, it's absolute disaster to get trapped one out. Neb Pizzuti from David House, and then Wayne Randall as they come down main straight away. Pizzuti the leader.
David by Wayne Randall, and then Marr. All the way back then to Ian Walters, and Christie right behind Walters, followed then by the Queenslander Hargraves, then from Cartwright Harris, then Anderson and Laws, but there's Pizzuti going over the line in the middle of this street and strip section of the 150-lap COCA-COLA Grand Classic, and it's Neb Pizzuti doing it beautifully too out in front. David House contenders at the moment, and there's 26 laps to go from here, and House still has plenty of time to make a move, but let's have a look what's happened to Adrian Anderson. He's way back at the end of the field as Bobby Christie makes an attempt to go round Walters, and there's a one out, one back situation for Christie. But here's Pizzuti again, passing it. Pizzuti the leader over House, followed then by Randall and Mark in there with him too. Christie really having a go at Walters now and getting around the outside of him, and Adrian Anderson starting to make ground, but certainly not quickly enough. Pizzuti round again, and he still leads away from the ACT driver David House, followed then by Wayne Randall, then Mark. Bob Christie started to get a go on now from Ian Walters, followed then by Ross Newcastle, then Hargraves. Behind Hargraves is Syria, then Cartwright from Harris and Adrian Anderson. But there's Pizzuti past us again, and we're in the centre of the Street and Strip sponsored section of this 150-lap classic as Pizzuti comes charging down to the judge again. Pizzuti still leading and going a little further away from House, followed by Randall. Then we come back to the big yellow car of the Monaro, followed then by Bobby Christie making ground, the Goulburn driver. Then Nacastri having a go at Walters, but it's Pizzuti again, and he's doing it beautifully. He's as calm and cool as a cucumber.
And Contra Tyre Service bring us the next 5 laps. We're 20 laps away from home. And the Lismore driver, Nev Pizzuti, now making his... But there's a blow there, I think, for Harris. Harris starting to pump smoke. He could be in trouble. It looks like he's in bother. And Nev Pizzuti's right behind him. Adrian Anderson going to the infield too. He's blown a tyre. Obviously the risk of running without changing tyres was too great. Pizzuti round the outside of Harris. Then comes David House, followed then by Wayne Randall, and Phil Harris still trying to box on for the remainder of this car race. Into the Cogra Tyre Service segment of the race, and Nev Pizzuti really building up the laps now. Here's Don McEwen getting back into the race, and McEwen re-enters the race now. He's quite a few laps down though. Nev Pizzuti in the Lismore car number 9. Almost getting sick and tired of saying the man's name, but by gee, it's been an incredible performance by him.
There's Wayne Randall, breathing right down the neck of David House, and Randall hasn't let House go at all. A long way back to Mark. All the action up front here, and here's Pizzuti coming round the outside of them. That's a dangerous move, but Pizzuti pulled it off. He went outside the two of them, and so too did House, and it's dangerous for House as Randall's going to get up on the inside of him. No, there's an ounce of luck for House. He's had lady luck on his shoulder all night. But it's Pizzuti the leader, passing us now in this COCA-COLA segment of the COCA-COLA Winfield 150 lap 1979 Grand Classic, and Nev Pizzuti is leading it in grand style. 140 laps down as Pizzuti goes past us now, and there's 10 laps to run. 10 laps to run, and we're in the middle of the COCA-COLA segment. And Pizzuti coming round now. Pizzuti leading away here from David House. David House has got away a little there from Wayne Randall, but Randall is being hampered there by Walters at the moment, and Randall forced to do an outside pass. But Pizzuti is... He's got 9 laps to go. 8 laps to go from there. 8 pulsating laps, and $3,000 is sitting in the pocket of Nev Pizzuti. He's taking out a great slice of this pot of gold, but David House is desperately trying to get to him as we come out of the segment and finish it up with a Winfield.
Pizzuti has just clocked up $1,000 worth of lap money. He's led for 100 laps of this car race. An incredible effort by Pizzuti, and I would think at this stage thoroughly deserved of victory. Pizzuti in the lead. Coming into the final closing stages of the race, Pizzuti from House. We would then have Wayne Randall. Then following Randall through, we'd have Max Marr, and then we'd have probably Bobby Christie. They're certainly spreading out as Pizzuti is really running third. And I'd make it fourth place with Bobby Christie then in fifth spot. Adrian Anderson right behind him. But at this moment, it is Ned Pizzuti with only 3 laps left to go. Pizzuti from House. House is closing the gap. House has only got about 40 metres away, and Pizzuti is trying desperately to hold on.
Pizzuti comes into this last couple of laps, and it's Ned Pizzuti. Bounces round there, David House. Then we come back here a long way, I think, to Merv Hargraves, who is in front of Randall. Then Walters behind him, and a long way back then to Marr. But it's Pizzuti over the line, and he's 1 lap away from the $3,000 of the COCA-COLA Winfield Grand Classic. And Ned Pizzuti coming round turn 3 into turn 4, and I'd say it's all over. A magnificent performance by Pizzuti, followed home by David House, then Bobby Christie, Adrian Anderson. A fabulous performance there, but of course he's a hell of a lot of laps down. Then where do we go back to there? It's possibly Merv Hargraves. Behind him was Wayne Randall. Then came Ian Walters from Marr, and then Johnny Cartwright. But of course we have to await official confirmation by the stewards and lap scorers. But there is absolutely no doubt in my mind, and probably yours too, that the winner of the 1979 COCA-COLA Grand Classic is Ned Pizzuti of Lismore.